Alright guys, moving on to something new, there's a certain skill you need to know. You need to recognize, identify the groups of terms that combine to a sum of 0. Now you should be able to pick that up on the spot without a calculator, okay? Now here's how you know that. You're going to have plus signs with all these. It will add to 0, okay, if you have a negative and a positive of the same exact term, okay? So negative 5x plus 5x, that's a negative, that's a positive, they're added, that'll give you 0. Negative 6y plus negative 6y, that's a negative, they will not give you a add to 0, okay? They have to be a negative and a positive. Now 20y plus 14y, they're not even the same thing, okay? 7 and 7, yeah, they're the same, but you don't have a negative and a positive. Negative 10y plus 10y, negative and a positive, they add to 0. 6 and 8, okay, they're not even, 6y plus 18y, they're not even the same thing, okay. Negative 7x plus 7x, negative, positive of the same term. 10y plus 10y, well, that's not a negative and a positive, they're the same, but you don't have a negative and a positive, okay. Okay, 5 and 12, not even close. 12y plus negative 12, okay, positive and negative the same thing, adds to 0. 2 and 2, no, I know that's 4, okay. No, and no. Okay. Now, why do you need to know that? Well, here's why. You need to solve the system. You have 2x plus 5y equals 17. You have 6x minus 5y equals negative 9. So you have to solve for the x and the y within the system. Okay, so looking at the first equation, 2x, 5y, and 17, 6x minus 5y equals negative 9. Circle the equals. We have a little problem. We don't have a base. Okay, we've never had to do these when we don't have a base. Okay, no base is what I just wrote down there. Here's what you do when there's no base. You apply a different procedure. It's known as elimination. Okay. To use elimination, you want to arrange your x's and y's into columns. It's easy to do just like that. The equals are stacked up on top of each other. And these over here are called your constants. They're over there together. Now, when using elimination, you want to underline this and you want to write the word add. Either your x column or your y column has to add to 0. I don't care about the constant column, okay? Either of your variable terms have to add to 0. So 2 plus 6, that's not 0. 5 plus negative 5, that's 0 because I have a positive and a negative of the same thing, okay? So I put 0y. And what that allows me to do then is the y is eliminated, because when you have 0 in front of a variable, that variable is eliminated. Okay. Now I go to my other columns and add. 2 plus 6 is 8, 8x. And over here 17 plus negative 9, that's going to be 8. You're always adding them just like that. Okay. Now, wall dot circle. And you're going to divide by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. X equals 1. Pay attention to the letter you're solving for. It's x. Okay. Now I have to solve for the y. So 2x plus, now the second answer is a little bit tougher to get than it was yesterday with the substitution because you don't really have a base equation. Use the top equation. 2x plus, just copy it down. 2x plus 5y equals 17. Now, x is 1. So what you do is you parenthesize your x, delete it, and put 1. But your y has crap with it, so you can't just go to your calculator. So here's the first thing you need to do. You need to find what number 2 times 1 is. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay? So you now write, that's gone, so you now have 2 plus 5y equals 17. Then wall dot circle, take out your 2 by subtracting. And 17 minus 2 is 15. Then you divide each side by 5, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So y equals 3. Okay, 1, 3. Okay, next one. 5x minus 6y equals negative 32. 3x plus 6y equals 48. Okay, so I make my coordinate right there. Okay, you don't have a base, okay? No base. There is not a letter I have isolated by itself. So I arrange the x's into their own column, the y's into their own column, and then the constants are over here, okay? Now, either the x column or the y column has to add to 0. Well, 5 plus 3 is not 0. Negative 6 and positive 6, if I add those, that's going to be 0. Okay, so 0y. So that allows us then to eliminate the y, and then I add in the other columns. So 5 plus 3 is 8, 8x. Line up your equals. And then I add negative 32 plus 48. That's going to be 16. Now wall dot circle, so I divide by 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2, so x equals 2. Pay attention to what letter that is. Y's have been eliminated for now. It's going to come back. Okay. Now to find your y, use the first equation. Just copy it down. 5x, just copy that down across the top. Do it down here. Minus 6y equals negative 32. By the way, you want to make your minuses plus negatives, because that's a negative 6, and that's a negative 32. Now, you substitute 2 for the x, because x has its answer 2. But you can't just go to your calculator like yesterday, because the other letter's not by itself. Okay, that's why we want to make that wall there. Okay, so first I got to clean up that mess. I got to figure out what 5 times 2 is. 5 times 2 is 10. So we have 10 plus the negative 6y equals the negative 32. Now I can solve. 2 operations, a plus and a times. Highlight the times part. Take out your 10 by subtracting. Negative 32 minus 10 is negative 42. And we have negative 6 times y. Now divide each side by negative 6. And negative 42 divided by negative 6 is 7. So y equals 7. Okay, next page. 6x plus 5y equals 39. 3x plus 5y equals 27. Okay. Okay, so no base, so then you align your x's and y's into columns. That's plan B. Okay, plan B will work. Okay, write the word add. Now, either the x's or the y's have to add to 0. 6 plus 3 is 9. 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, well, I don't have anything that adds to 0. Okay. Again, for something to add to 0, it's got to be a negative and a positive of the same exact term. Well, these are the same term. They're just not negative and positive. But we're fortunate here because we actually have the same number. So if the x's or the y's don't add to 0, find the column that has the same term. Okay? So nothing has a 0. Label this same. Now, this would add to 0 if I could make one of my 5's into a negative, which I can. I can do it as long as I make then the other things and the other terms in the equation opposite. So 3 goes negative, 27 goes negative. They're like, why do you do it on bottom? Why not top? Just do it on bottom. I always go with the bottom. Now I have a positive 5 and a negative 5. That will add to 0. 0y. Okay? Remember, because 5 and 5 to begin with was 10, and that wasn't going to work on that side from the start, okay? So, has to add to 0. If nothing adds to 0, check the column and see if you have the same term, okay? Same. Then if I make that the same thing and one of them opposite, then it'll work, but then you got to make the others opposite. Okay, now that takes out the y. So now I add 6 plus negative 3, that's 3x. Over here, 39 plus negative 27, that's 12. Okay, you add them. Now, wall dot circle. So divide by 3. X equals 4. Now, one thing when you're doing this column stuff, you do not want to do plus negative. You're going to do plus negative when you find your second answer, but not here. X equals 4. Okay, that's X. Now let's get our answer for Y. Use your original equation. Just copy down the top. What did the top say? 6x plus 5y equals 39. Okay, x is going to be replaced with the number 4. Okay, and we have to solve for y. Well, I need to get rid of this parentheses. I simply am just multiplying 6 by 4. 6 by 4 is 24. So we have 24 plus 5y equals 39. Wall plus and times, okay. You take out the 24 by subtracting. 39 minus 24 is 15, so 5 times y equals 15. Now you're good to divide and get your answer. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. So y is 3. Okay, next problem. We have x plus y equals 101, and then 2.5x plus y equals 164. Okay, so any base, no base, okay? So align them into columns, x's, y's. Place the ones in front of those so you can see that what their coefficients are, so when you add. So you're going to add. 1 plus 2.5 is not 0. Neither is 1 plus 1. But I actually have the same term right there. If I make one of them into a negative, they will add to 0. So negative, but then I got to remember this becomes opposite, and so does this. Okay. Then these will add to 0. One and a positive one and a negative one will add to 0. Okay. You need a positive and a negative of the same thing. Okay. All right. So 0y. That takes out our y. Now I take 1 and I plus negative 2.5. That's going to be negative 1.5x. And over here I take 101 and plus negative 164, and that's negative 63. Okay, now that means times right there, and then you divide each side by negative 1.5. Okay, x equals, that's an x, keep in mind what the letter is. The y is where I got the 0, so that's out. So I take negative 63 plus negative 1.5. Whoops, negative 63 divided by negative 1.5, I get 42. So my x is 42. Now, solve for the y. Use your first equation. 1x plus 1y equals 101. Now we got the answer for x, so x leaves the equation. Okay, over here, 1 and 42. Okay, means 1 times 42. Okay, because you see, you got to get rid of that. You got to multiply that first before you worry about getting rid of stuff. 1 times 42 is 42. Plus 1y equals 101. Now we solve for y. So I subtract 42. So 101 minus 42 is 59. Then you divide by 1, and that's 59. Okay. Okay. 2x plus 6y equals 22, and then 2x plus 3y equals 4. xy. Okay, no base. So line those into columns. Your x's or your y column has to add to 0. 2 plus 2 is 4. 6 plus 3 is 9. So I can't get 0 this way. So now I check a column to see if I have the same exact thing in the X or Y. I don't care about over here, okay? There's the same. So if you make one of them into the opposite, a negative, then they'll add to 0. So negative, but then I got to make my 3y opposite to negative and the 4 opposite to negative, okay? So now it's time to add. I know that will add to 0x. See, watch, if I take a 2 plus a negative 2, 0, okay? 0x. Then I take 6 plus negative 3, and that's 3y. Then I add 22 and negative 4, 18. So again, that 0x, get that out of there. Get that plus sign out of there. You don't need that. So wall dot circle, and you're just dividing by 3, but this time what's the letter? It's y. Okay, so y is 6. Now, write your first equation. 2x plus 6y equals 22. So 6 is replaced with y. Okay, so I take 6 times, I got to figure out what that 6 times 6 is, okay? 6 times 6 is 36. Just put a 36 and write what you have now. That's now gone, okay? So we have 2x plus the 36 equals the 22. Now we solve it. Times, so minus 36, minus 36, okay? So 2 times x, 22 minus 36 is negative 14. Then I divide each side by 2, and x equals negative 7. Okay. Now, last problem. xy. Okay, no base. You can clearly see there's no base for you to just box up and isolate. Okay. So I'm adding. Okay. Negative 3 plus 3. Right there, you know you got 0 right there. You got a negative and a positive, the exact same term. So 0x. You're allowed then to take that out. Now you add the rest. Now when you're adding these, you take negative 3 plus negative 4. It's negative 7. And over here, 9 plus 5, that's 14. So then you divide each side by negative 7. 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. So your y, that's y is negative 2. Now, write down your first equation. Negative 3x minus 3y equals 9. Plus negative, and we are going to place negative 2 in for the y. Now remember, put a times dot there, and we have to figure out what that multiplies to, the negative 3 and the negative 2. That's 6. So now the new equation is negative 3x plus 6 equals 9. Now you're good to go. It's cleaned up. So minus 6, that's 3. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. Okay.